Farm workers are the reason for the food in our stores and tables. These essential workers are the backbone of the agricultural industry. So why have these dignified workers long been treated as if they are disposable?
For most people, farm workers seem invisible. The National Farm Worker Ministry has been standing in solidarity with them for over 5 decades. In the 1960s, we answered Cesar Chavez's call for people of faith and conscience to join them in their advocacy efforts. Since then, we have been connecting anyone who buys food, as well as people of faith and conscience, to farm worker groups who are trying to organize to achieve fundamental changes in their living and working conditions.
The National Farm Worker Ministry is committed to social, economic, and racial justice for farm workers. Our mission is to equip, educate, and mobilize communities and individuals to support farm worker-led efforts.
There are over 2 million farm workers who work in farms and ranches across the United States today. The majority of these farm workers are immigrants. Federal law excludes them from labor laws, including the right to unionize and the right to earn overtime pay. In the 1930s, farm workers were intentionally excluded from these laws, mainly due to racism. The unjust exploitation of farm workers continues to this day. Additionally, most farm workers do not have access to employment benefits like retirement savings, health insurance, or even sick pay. Even though farm workers feed the nation, many farm workers struggle to provide for their own families. It's not uncommon to see farm worker families earn an income that places them below the federal poverty line. Many farm workers lack documentation, which makes them ineligible to receive most public benefits. Farm work is one of the most dangerous occupations, with workers routinely experiencing things like injuries, heat stress, lack of shade, pesticide exposure, and lack of adequate drinking water. Child farm workers also risk their health, safety, and education to work in the fields because their parents' wages aren't enough to sufficiently provide for their families.
To upend the often racist and unjust agricultural system, farm workers are organizing to change their inhumane working and living conditions. Farm workers rely on the advocacy and accompaniment of people like us and of concerned consumers to help achieve justice. Farm Worker Ministry's goal is to raise awareness among faith communities and consumer groups and advocate for farm worker groups across the country to bring about lasting change.
We invite you to be an ally with farm workers. Join National Farm Worker Ministries as we support farm worker-led campaigns. These efforts can include creating consumer pressure on companies, boycotting, calling on elected politicians, and supporting certification programs. Campaigns may be local, regional, national, even global. There are 2 things, however, that are common in all the campaigns. Number 1, they are led by farm workers, and secondly, with your support, these farm worker-led campaigns will win.